Is now the ultimate power in the universe.
Sharing the love, spreading the light in real time. Friday night love stream.
Very happy to have a guy we instantly resonated with. Unbiased and on the fence. I'm talking about Shane C. Robinson. And his purpose is to rise above the worldviews that are designed to separate us so we can unite as one.
Sometimes you have to sort of take a step back, and I think Unbiased and on the Fence is a really, really good title for your show, because you are in the central point when you're unbiased and on the fence. That's what it means. It doesn't mean you're indecisive. It means you are taking the central point and you're seeing the multiple perspectives.
Unbiased and on the fence.
If you haven't checked Unbiased on the Fence, go and check his channel out. You might like it.
This is Dan Hofeld from Talk is Cheap, and you're listening to Unbiased and on the Fence with Shane Robinson.
If this much sincerity enters your life, come to this much. What I know, I know. What I do not know, I do not know. I don't believe anything, I don't disbelieve anything. I'm willing to look at everything. You will become a sensible human being.
Have you checked out our website?
Visit us on the web at uotf.net. You're listening to The Love Stream.
All around the world in real time.
This is Shane with Unbiased and On the Fence. You're listening to the Friday Night Love Stream.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence.
Unbiased and on the fence.
Indeed it is, the Friday Night Love Stream. Phone lines are open. How's everyone feeling tonight? I mean, wow, the energies have been crazy. I was able to get out in nature and really just try to soak up as much of it as I can. So yeah, what are you guys feeling? I want to thank everybody who purchased the book. We hit #1 in the category on Amazon that we're in. I can't remember what it is now. I wouldn't say unsolved. Strange mysteries or strange phenomenon, something like that. Anyway, yeah, so we were able to hit #1 with that. Eileen did inform me that we needed a few little minor edits. Things got shifted a little bit. So I guess you live and you learn. It's our first book. So if you were one of the first to buy it, you have some extra, let me say, probably the first dozen books are going to be special editions. I mean, all the content's there. I think she said there was some 4s, there were some shifts in the page numbers. I think they're off by 2 or something. So, yeah, unfortunately, we didn't catch that. So, anyway, so yeah, the book's out. It looks great. I got my copy today when I got back home, and it looks. I mean, it really looks really nice and professional. It was nice seeing it. Atsuko let me know that she got hers. John Binney got his in Scotland. So the book is already going all over the world. It's so awesome. And I want to thank all of you guys. After you get done reading that, if you would leave a review, that would be helpful for other people. Unless you thought it sucked, then I'm just playing. So anyway, yeah, I've been, let me make sure, keep an eye on the phone lines here. So yeah, I've been tossing around a lot of just random thoughts, I guess, about this whole thing being a simulation. And I kind of came to this realization that if there was some sort of, I don't know, futuristic arcade where you could go into this place, right? You pay them like $100,000, and in like half of a day, you enter this machine that completely immerses you into another life, and you live a full lifetime in just a half of a day. You experience everything that life has to offer. You can choose from anything. The pain is real. The sadness is real. You forget that you even went to the arcade and hopped in this machine. It's completely like real life. And then I wonder how many people would pay money to go do that, and what kind of lives would they live. I mean, you could be a rock star, live a rock star life. Do you think anybody would want to, say, live the life of a pimp or a prostitute, or do you think someone would choose to be at the very top, the elite, running the world? Something to think about, because if somebody went into a game like that, I mean, if you think of it like, I don't know, Grand Theft Auto or something, it's got a lot of the things I mentioned, and people do it all the time. They think it's a blast. So I don't know. This whole idea of, I know some people didn't want to come here, like Ronnie, and I've heard other people say that they kind of came here against their will, but most of what you hear going around is that we planned our life, we came here, we got to choose different elements about it, different gifts, different hardships, different things that were going to help us grow. And then we entered the game. Bam, we started the life, we forgot who we were. It's kind of a weird way of thinking about it, but when you think of it the way I presented it, you'd see people, if they had the money, people would be lining up to do that, I think. I really do. They thought, well, yeah, you're going to have to feel pain, but when you wake up, it's all going to, it was just a game, And I think people would do it. I don't know, just a thought. Okay, so Mel said I chose here. Yeah, that's sort of my point, is that it's kind of hard to get around the, idea that people wouldn't do that, because I can imagine setting it up. I totally see people lining up to do that. The only problem being money, probably. It would be too expensive. Dana, let's play. Okay, you guys, phone lines are open. Call in. Tell me what you would want to do if you could insert. Are you living the life that you would choose to live if this was the game? And I guess that's kind of the question that this all brings up. Are you living the life you want to live? Are you doing the things you want to do? Are you... and I'll probably do another short video on that, but, so many of us spend our lives like reaching for some future happiness, maybe in a mate, or in a job, or in a financial status, or there's so many different things that we look to the future and say, well, once I get my business off the ground, then I'll be happy. It's always something out in the future. And I think the whole catch of it is that, you can find happiness now while you pursue all those other things. You can be happy right now, in this very moment, this moment of now. That's all there ever really is. And it doesn't really matter about all that other stuff. If that stuff is secondary to just the resonating in love of this moment now, making those slight shifts in your thoughts, taking a moment to just breathe it in throughout the day, breathe in that connection to everybody and to source, and just really feel that bliss. It's there all the time, you guys. Enjoy it. Let's do some wing makers, activating music. All right, we want to go back or go to the phone lines. First caller of the week. Tracy, are you there?
I'm here.
Welcome, Tracy. First time caller. You calling from California?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for calling in.
Can you please forgive me that I don't know what your scene is? I came in right before you opened the line, and I saw the 444, and I knew that I had to call because that number means something to me.
Well, what does that number mean to you? It's an open topic tonight. You don't have to talk about anything specific. So you mentioned before we went on the air that you'd had a stroke that you're recovering from. Was that really recent?
It was last year, August 11th. I was asleep for 4 days and woke up on the 15th. I guess it was somewhere in the 15th. In that time that I was out, I saw my mom.
Mm-hmm.
My mom lived in God's house.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I remember her telling me to do was look at Trump.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason that the 444 means something is that when she passed away in 2011, the 444 hit the clock for me, and I fell to my knees, prayed, and asked God to tell her how much I missed her and loved her. That
beautiful.
night, she came to me in a dream, and I do not dream. I do not remember dreams. If I do dream, I don't remember anything ever. And that night, she came to me and told me, I tricked him, I got away, look for the 444s. And from that moment on, I have seen them everywhere. If you look at the picture on my channel, it says YLY 444.
Mm-hmm.
That car appeared down the street from me right after that dream, was there for a few months, did not move ever. And I just knew that was her, close to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I always look for the 444s. So it's important.
Yeah.
You were meant to show up for me right then and there.
Yeah, you found your group. We're pretty much the outcast. How long have you been? Did you just stumble across the channel, or have you been watching for a while?
I don't know, hon. I could have been subscribed to you for a while, but right now I was literally just flipping through the channels, and I liked the colors, and you were live stream, and I liked your voice, and so here I am. I literally just came on right before you said the lines are open. I missed the first few minutes of your show. I didn't know what you were even talking about.
Yeah, I don't either, really. Sure. No, I'm just kidding. We just had a book just come out, so I was talking about that, and then I was just mentioning my ideas about living in a simulation and those kind of ideas people talk about. But the book that just came out is a Mandela Effect book. Are you familiar with the Mandela Effect?
Yes, and I have listened to a lot of it, but for me, whatever I remember it is what it is. That's what the truth is in my head. Mm-hmm. I don't try to think too much about the changes. I just know that I remember the song this way. Whatever it was, I remember it that way, and that's how I am going to remember it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, totally. Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I think a lot of people feel like that. Other people feel like they want to get back to their universe or whatever, but I feel like it's all memory, it's all consciousness.
I literally saw the glitch in the Matrix one morning.
Ooh, I want to hear about that.
I was turning left onto a street that I've turned left onto so many times that the number I couldn't even begin to imagine, millions of times. And it was a sunny morning, and literally the trees and the church top glitched out. And this was quite a while before the movie Wreck-It Ralph that this happened to me. But when I was in the movie Wreck-It Ralph with my granddaughter, and I saw the glitch, the little girl glitch out, it all came back to me then. But prior to that, when I saw it in the trees and in the sky, it was one of those things that makes you pull over on the side of the road and literally pray. Don't even move. Pray. And call the one that you trust the most and tell them what just happened to you. That's what I did. So, yeah, it was interesting. I have been awakened for many, many years. I used to cut school and stay inside the Rosicrucian Museum because it was a safe place to go. All the children were being bussed in and bussed out all day long. So if you wanted to not get picked up by what was called TABS, T-A-B-S, you would go to the Rosicrucian Museum. You were smart. And so I guess from just being in the area and having it prevalent in my life, I was seeing these things at a really young age. It didn't start really coming together, though, until, what I would say, 20s, mid-20s into the 30s. You start figuring things out a little bit more as you grow. But I just turned 51. I think I just turned 51. And, yeah, it wasn't until June, though, that after I started, I'm sorry that I'm
No, you're doing great.
Erratically. Honey, I got to take a minute. You've got to talk for me. I got to calm myself down.
Oh, no problem.
My thoughts are flowing too fast for me to speak. That's what I'm still recovering on, is my speech. I didn't really start speaking until just a few months ago.
Well, you sound great. My mom, when she recovered from her stroke, she sounded like she had an accent, like she was from Sweden or something. So you sound normal to me.
I sound like I have an accent. I do not sound like me. That is so funny. She sounded like she was from Sweden because I always sounded like I was a mix of Minnesota and California. If I got on the phone with my family, I would sound like I lived in Crookston, Minnesota. I stayed on the phones with my friends in California, then I sounded like I normal in my head.
Mm-hmm.
But now I hear myself, and it's worse than listening to yourself on a recording. It sounds like somebody completely different.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so those people that know you, I guess you probably sound quite a bit different to them, but yeah.
Yeah.
So I wanted to take a step back. Sorry, there's a little bit of a delay, so if I talk over you, it's just because I didn't know you were talking yet. But I wanted to go back to what you were talking about, the glitches. So did you see so it was like you saw trees like disappear and then come back, or did they just disappear and stay gone, or how did it look?
It was like the glitch on the TV. I mean, it just went through everything. It was that, like when your TV glitches out before it's getting ready to do something.
Yeah.
That's the only way that I can explain it. It was like that. but I was making a left-hand turn, and when I made that left-hand turn, I was right into a dirt lot, so I was able to immediately stop, get out of the vehicle, and walk around and gather myself.
Yeah, because it freaked you out. That would freak anybody out if you just, geez. So you saw, it was almost like like something pulsed through everything, and then some items disappeared?
Seriously, yes.
Yeah.
It was just like that. I can actually see the energy in the sky, and it does freak me out sometimes.
What does it look
I
like?
walked out the front of, oh my gosh. Have you ever listened to Enter the Stars talk about floaters?
No, but I think I know what you're talking about. Does it look like just little shiny, sparkly, I don't know, just little, I don't know, sparkly energy floating around in the sky everywhere?
It's more like a swirly wave, and also a circle that is iris-like with the line.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen those.
I can literally focus in on them, and they multiply. It's kind of scary. One time I walked outside of my house and looked up back, and my neighbor was out there too, and it looked like a white thing had exploded in the sky, and like they were all white doves floating down, but they were not birds. It was just like white pieces of paper coming down all at the same time in the same direction. And I was like, what the hell do I do? Do I get his attention and have him look at it with me? He's a total believer, so I wasn't thinking he would think I was crazy. I don't know. But I didn't say anything to him. I let him just continue to race his lawn. And, yeah, so I do see a lot of things that I question.
Yeah. Someone else talked about seeing like a blue grid over everything sometimes. Do you ever see anything like that?
Repeat that again, hon.
Do you ever see a blue grid over everything? Like fade in and out?
No, I don't want to say that I do, because I don't know what I see sometimes if I am in certain areas with, it's all about the sun where I am, where I can see the direction of the sun is where I see certain floaters up above my house. And I'm not looking into the sun. Actually, my back is to the sun. So what I see is in the indirect light all around me, I guess. It's not like I just started seeing these. I have been seeing these for a very long time, pre-stroke and after stroke.
So you feel like it's energy, though?
To me, I see it as energy. In the sky, it's almost like, yeah, it's and seeing the floaters is not like seeing the TV screen glitch. That's completely different.
Right.
The floaters are just floating around, but it seems like it's an energy. What else would it be? You know, because everything is light. If we were able to take an X-ray down, we could see what is being made up is truly just light. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, different frequencies of light.
Even our bodies, and we don't know that, but we will. That's what's going to change, and it's going to be different. Like, okay, when my little granddaughter would say, "I'm a princess," I would say, "No, in your mind, you're a spiritual warrior princess. You are going to change one day into a spiritual warrior princess. So imagine that in your head." So few years after that, I said to her, "Oh, are you a princess?" And she turns and says, "No, Grandma, I'm a spiritual warrior princess. Did you forget?" You know, like, so you put that in their head and they know who they are.
Yeah.
Because that's what we are going to change into, is that light warrior. We are all going to stand up and fight for our king. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's like awakening in her what was really already there and reminding her of who she really is.
The first will be last and the last will be first. We are here for a reason. We are the first, and we're here as the last because we're here. We're the ones that have held strong the longest. So we're going to continue to stand for him until the end. We are all like, if you think about it, we're a chip off the old block. God is the old block. But now everything is so technical. So think about it, that little thing that we plug into the computers to put all of our downloads on and put it in our pocket.
Yeah, a little thumb drive.
Yes. So, but really, we're a piece of diamond. We're a piece of him. We're a chip off the old block. And that is what he wants back in the end. He wants that to come back to him with all of our memories, our good, our bad, our indifferent, but he wants us to know who we are when he brings us back to him.
So we're really here having our experiences, and we'll return to source.
We are. That is really, it's that simple. It's so simple that a child can understand it.
Yeah.
But they don't tell us in the simplified version.
Well, I think that would be too easy, I guess. They got to wrap it up in a bunch of religion and stuff, you know. Makes it funner to unravel it all.
Think about this. Why was there such a why did they tell so many people for so long that you do not masturbate, that you're spilling your seed?
Why is that?
Can I speak like that?
Sure.
Can I speak like that on okay, so here's where I gotta catch my breath, hon.
Okay. Yeah, just take your time.
They come in fast. They come in faster than I can speak them in my mouth. So, we're told you don't masturbate. Why do you not masturbate? What is the reason for masturbation or not masturbation? What is that all about?
It depends on who you ask.
Tell us. I'm sorry, honey. Go away. Child walked in. Depends on who you ask. Right?
Yeah.
I was told by somebody a long time ago that a man can take any woman, but a woman gives herself to a man. So keep your pieces. Okay? Just like they were saying to a man, in a sense, don't masturbate because you're spilling your seed. No, who are you giving your orgasm to? Okay, so we've got the alpha and the omega. What is the alpha? The alpha is your ego inside, which is going to run you every day all around. And the omega, that is in the sense the orgasm. So the alpha and your ego and your orgasm. You know how some people can't have an orgasm? They have these issues because they can't clear their mind. They have so much stuff just like a garbage can of what the world expects of them. What about what you expect of the world in a sense? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you are going to masturbate, you need to be giving it all to your source. You need to release all of the darkness, all of the negative unrighteousness that you are holding inside. Get rid of that and be filled with all of that pure energy that is source. That's what you ask for. So try that, people that are ever having a problem. You don't need a pill. You need to just clear your mind and don't think about your taxes. Don't think about your car that got hit in an accident. It's none of that because you're here for God's pleasure. Everything is for His pleasure, for His learning, because it's our experience is going back to Him. I'm sorry I'm rambling again, honey.
No, it's good. We're all one, so yeah, it makes sense. We gather the experiences, we go back, and it's all for God, but then again, we're all pieces of God, so it's all for us.
Please forgive me for rambling.
Oh, no, it's good.
Like I said, the thoughts are in my head, and it's hard for me to control my speech when I'm thinking of things. So I'm trying to put it in the proper way to not sound too far out there.
Oh, you're doing great. You're in the right crowd. We're in the far out crowd, so you're good.
Okay. So tell me about you for a minute.
Well,
what is your name? It's Shane?
Mm-hmm.
I like the name Shane.
Do you remember that movie, Shane, with Alan Ladd?
I'm sorry?
Do you remember the movie, Shane, with Alan Ladd, the actor?
Here, it's something to know about me that you could probably name every movie that was number one for the past 30 years, and I have not seen it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was named after that movie. And it was older than 30 years ago, actually. But, yeah, I think it was before I was born.
Say it again. What's the name of the movie?
Shane. My name. It's named, my name. I was named after the movie. It's Shane.
And what year?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. 60s, 50s, or 60s? Let me see.
Okay, I will look that up, and I will try to find a way to watch that.
Let's see, Shane. Yeah, it's a Western, 1953 Western.
Oh, well, I can't wait to watch it. I love Westerns.
Yeah.
One of my best friends, I'm sure she's already watched that movie a dozen times.
I would be surprised if you haven't seen it and just forgot about it. It's one of those movies they used to air a lot on just TV, you know, every few years.
Okay, I like that. Like you see when you're homesick from school?
Yeah.
I love those movies. So what is the name of your channel, Shane? Is it Unbiased on the Fence?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, exactly.
I will start looking at your videos.
Yeah, do that and come back and check in with us.
I will do that. Thank you so much for allowing me to talk with you.
Oh, I appreciate you calling in and chatting with us, Tracy. You have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Lots of love to you. Bye-bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
unbiased and on the fence.
All right. Let's see. Gonna go back to the phone lines. Anybody got their hand up here? Yeah, no, maybe so. Let me see what I got here. Hello? Who's here with their hands not up? Your hand's not up.
My hand's not up.
That's fine. There you go. All right, Jose, welcome to the broadcast. How's it going?
Hi, how are you?
Doing wonderful.
I told you it was important.
The big O. Oh,
Yeah.
you know, I just write your chat in there. Yeah, I wish people would. Most people call in, but if you actually join the chat from your computer, if you have a mic and headphones, then you can actually chat and see if you're next in the queue and all of that good stuff. So you might want to follow the link and join it from the computer like Jose does. And that works all over the world, too, so you don't even have to worry about trying to find your right number and all that. So.
Yeah, I never used my phone. I always use the computer. And and you just close off YouTube and then listen to the stream on TalkShoe. And then you can see, you can't, you don't need to see anyway, you know, like there's no, so that's what I do. While I'm drawing, I listen. And then I can tell when you're ready, and voila.
Yeah, this is the show to do your art with, you guys. You can do your art and just listen.
Well, that's what I do a lot. I don't always talk in the chat, but I listen and do my art, and sometimes I'll chip in and say hi, but
yeah.
I
love oh, that's my little grandson out there. Dean.
Oh,
you hear him in the background there?
How is he?
He's doing wonderful.
How is he?
Well, he's not happy now. He's probably, what time is it? No? Thought maybe they're making him go to bed. Who knows? But I got another one on the way, a girl.
Really?
My oldest daughter is she's due, I want to say she's due in January or February or something. Beginning of next year.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So a little girl. We have Dean out there. That's who you hear in the background, showing off his vocal cords. Aren't they beautiful?
Yeah, well, I have a brand new granddaughter. She was born on the 7th.
Beautiful.
So, yeah.
Beautiful little girl.
She's a little angel. I know.
Have you got to see her yet,
so
or is she in a different town?
It distracted me. I was going to say something.
Oh.
And then...
Oops.
So what was the question?
Grandbaby, what's her name? How much did she weigh and all that good stuff?
Oh, wow. Her name is Amelia.
Amelia.
And
beautiful.
Amelia, yeah. And she was tiny. She was 6'9". 6'10". 6'6", I think. Somewhere around there. You know, like, to me, it's not important, the weight, and, you know.
That's just something to talk about, Jose. Just something to talk about. You'd say, hey, you know, every now and then you'll get a gem, you know, like our let's see, that would be our third child was 10 pounds. So then people are like, what?
Yeah.
Freaking out.
I
know, the head's like this big. And you're like, you know, because they're so tiny at first, you know. So tiny.
No.
My goodness.
But she was the tiniest of my grandkids. She was, the doctors were a little concerned, you know, but she's fine. I haven't met her yet, though. Like, I'm going to see her on Sunday. I was with my daughter the whole, part of the day she actually gave birth. I was with her until 2 o'clock, and the baby was born at 7:45. But we had to leave for Winnipeg, so We just got back from Winnipeg. I know. Then had a big conference to work, and it was worth going, like. But I don't know. I wish it stayed here and see the baby instead. But
you
I guess
gotta
my
keep
sister
making the money.
needed-
You know how that is.
Yeah, but I think my sister needed me too. Like she was really stressed out, and so I try to help her a bit. Like it's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it can be rough at first.
she's in trouble. Oh, I don't know. I wish I could help her more, but
She's in
it's
trouble
hard.
like how? Like
Oh,
just everything in life.
well, she creates all kinds of stuff for herself, like, and
You
she
mean
has
she's
trouble
crafty?
with kids. Yeah, crafty in her head. Yeah, she just bought a new house, but near downtown, and it's a block from the hospital. You get ambulances going by like every 5-10 minutes. There's a
So it's
lot of
exciting.
homeless people.
See, you just got to find the silver lining, Jose. It's like
Yeah,
just shift it into
never
happiness.
mind exciting. No, it's really like noisy all the time. Those light when you have a beeper, when the light goes green, so it's time for you to walk or whatever. Beep, 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 like every minute. And oh man, I was stressed out, and so was she. And like I'm just like I was so happy to come back here. Like here, like the loudest noise we get is the crickets and the tree frogs. And
They actually get pretty loud, don't they?
Yes, they do. And the coyotes, that's our sirens, like it's so it was intense, I would say. Really intense. But I don't know why she chooses that for herself, but I sure wouldn't. I
It's
know that's
exciting.
not.
It's lots of excitement. It's like, does she like the skydiving stuff too? I give her some
I don't
time.
think so. No. She's a nurse and she works with, like people with disabilities or people with addictions, and she wants to save the world, but she doesn't put herself first.
Oh,
Like
yeah. A lot of us have that problem.
yeah. So you can't really help other people if you're like not feeling right.
Yeah. That's why I always say put a
So
life preserver on before you jump in and start trying to save people, right?
yeah, that's what they tell you on the plane too. Like so I don't know, and it's hard for me to see that. Like I feel so powerless. Like just don't know what to do.
No, the good thing is you don't have to do anything. She's like on her journey. You just love her where she's at and support her however you can and let her figure it out on her own.
Yeah, but sometimes it's nice to have a pat on the back, like um or like just a little, because when someone gets caught up, like in stress and negativity and whatever it is, uh sometimes you can't see, like it's too foggy. You can't see where the next turn is, or like, so sometimes just to have like a little nudge or a little hint or a little like something, so like it can help.
You're just talking about just life sending stuff to nudge you back on track or something? That's what all the trials and tribulations are, aren't they? They're all catalysts that kick you in the butt and get you back on track. So you're just wanting just a pat. You're wanting an easy kick. Like, I don't need that much. Just nudge me.
Yeah.
I think it is like that, though. Don't you think it starts with little nudges and pushes, and then it just continually gets stronger and stronger until they're sending stuff that's more like it's kicking you, hitting you with a truck.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm thinking about my sister too as we talk, and it's yeah. It's not easy, that's for sure.
Yeah.
For some people, it's harder.
How many sisters do you have?
I have 2 sisters and 1 brother.
Okay. I was just wondering if this was the sister that I knew about, or the other one.
It's my sister. She's a Christian, and yeah, the one you know about. The one told me I was with the devil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because of the Mandela effect.
Yeah.
It's but she's over that. But we just don't talk about that stuff, it's just but she's so she doesn't get out of the box. That's what she doesn't do.
But did she see any of the changes though? Like to the Bible?
Yeah. But it freaked her out, and she's just not interested.
Yeah. That's how the deeply religious people, like my brother-in-law and my sister, both ministers, they looked into it, said they saw it, said they were going to discuss it and get back to me, and that was 2 years ago. So
yeah.
2 years.
But there's a lot of fear in her, about that,
Yeah, it's par for the course. It comes with the religion, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Some of them are so scared. And I can feel their fright, it's not even funny. The amount of fear they feel. So I don't know.
But the thing is, Jose, I don't think they realize it, because I was the same way, and I didn't realize it until I got out of it. It's something about getting out of it makes it to where you can look back and say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize how free I feel until now, and there's no one after me. I don't have to worry.
Yeah.
There's nobody trying to hunt me down and take me out,
Yeah. Well, I really wish yeah. But she won't hear about it, so there's nothing. I planted a few seeds anyway. That's all we can do, right?
Yeah, plant a few seeds. Somebody come along and water them and so forth.
Yeah.
So. But don't feel responsible though, Jose. She's got her own thing, Some people want to take the rough route, or maybe to be easier for her the way she's doing it. You just never know.
Yeah, that's right.
You just never really know.
Maybe I should do what she does.
What's that?
I don't know. I don't know.
All right. I got you.
I know. Just took you a second.
Well, it's that whole, ignorance is bliss, sort of I think you were alluding to, right? Sometimes it's just happier not to know certain things, But, we want to know. We're curious.
Yeah, but I think trying to explain everything is not helping me.
Yeah.
It's holding me back. Trying to understand everything and why and where and how and I spend so much time, like worrying about what people are going to think, or, like that. I just don't do anything because I don't know. So hard to explain. I don't want to brag. I don't want to sound like I'm bragging. I don't want to say I can do this, like, and it's almost like I'm afraid of persecution or something,
Yeah.
And I don't know where that comes from, really.
Maybe a previous life or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe you're a Christian that got ate by a lion or something. Colosseum. And you're like, I don't want any part of that Christian stuff.
I don't know, but it's about everything, like
Yeah.
about everything. I doubt everything. I question everything, and like I used to like, but it's all like what other people think I believe in. If people don't agree what I believe in around me, I just drop it, and then I realize like I just don't believe in anything, and maybe it's okay that way. I don't know.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
But
I mean, with a slight tilt to it, because that's sort of, so many times we're sort of faced with this false dichotomy. You have to choose this or you have to choose this. And like, no, I don't. I don't have to choose either one of them. I know I don't, because I've done it with politics and on down the line. I mean, you don't have to choose anything. You can consider something. Yeah. You can honestly consider something. You can imagine what it would be like to believe that. But ultimately, you don't have to. You can just stay on the fence about it. And it does help to be more objective if you're not coming from another worldview trying to sort of make sense. It's just easier if you're not subscribed to any specific worldview. Sure, I have my experiences that lead me to feel like there's definitely some kind of higher agency at work helping, but beyond specifics, I can't really say for sure. I mean, I've seen the effects. It's like the wind, we know the wind's there. We can't see it. We see it moving the trees. We see it. We know it's there, So I don't really... It's kind of like that for me. So I know there's something there, some kind of energy, some kind of intelligence, consciousness, much smarter than whatever I am, outside of time, outside of space, just everywhere. Beyond that, I don't really have any details. But I know it's benevolent, and it loves us,
Nice.
And if you ask for help, you can get it.
Who do you have to ask?
It doesn't matter. Well, to me.
Doesn't matter.
I don't want to trigger anybody in the chat, because I know there's specific people you got to ask, and if you believe that, that's totally cool. But I've asked, the reason I say I don't think it matters, because I've asked Jesus, the Holy Spirit, God, the angels, and I always get answers no matter. So it doesn't seem to matter. So when I say it doesn't matter, it seems like if you cry out for help, somebody comes. That's what I mean.
Well, maybe I just don't hear them when they come. Because I have asked a lot of people. A lot. That's why maybe I'm not asking the right questions the right way. I don't know.
Well, you don't have to understand anything. You can just ask for help if you need it. They know what you need.
You know what I need?
What?
Hello?
Yeah, what do you need?
I don't know. I thought you said, I know what you need.
No, I said they know what you need.
Oh, they know what you need.
Yeah, the higher ups, your guides, your.
Yeah. They know. Yeah. That's why I was weird when you said it was weird, and I heard I know what you need. What do I need?
No, it's not that easy, Jose. I know,
I know.
but if I can't tell you. They told me to send you to them. I'm just playing. I really don't know what you need. Just to trust and ask them. They'll give you what you need.
Yeah.
You never even have to know what it is. You know?
Yeah. I know. No, I don't.
No. It's like taking up your cross daily, though, that they say in a Christian religion about. It's a battle. It's a daily battle, and you got to keep your vibes up. You got to know what else to do it for you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But that's a good thing at the same time, because you don't have to depend on anybody. Once you realize that, you're like, oh, okay, so I'm in charge of this. I can make sure it's done, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to give my seat to someone else. I've been here a while. Thank you for the chat.
Yeah, always nice talking to you, Jose.
Same here.
Lots of love to you. I'll talk to you
brother.
later. Love you too.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Your calls, your stories, on air. You're listening to the Love Stream.
Sharing the love and spreading the light all around the world. This is Unbiased and On the Fence. Oh, so sorry it was so echoey, you guys. Let's see. I'm going to flip the phone numbers up there on the main screen for all over the world. Keep in mind you can join from the website, which is talkshoe.com/show/love stream. Let's go here. All right. Take a little break, wait for the callers. See who's going to call in next. Phone lines are open. All right, we're going to go back to the phone lines. Maria from last week, if you guys remember, great call. She's back. How are you, Maria?
I'm good, Shane. Hi, everybody. Nobody was calling in, so I'm like, okay, I'll call.
Well, actually, while you were doing that, 3 people called in behind you, and they were actually listening to the story. Like, hey, go online with what you guys are saying. So callers can hear, but the people online
They
can't.
were listening?
So. Yeah.
Okay. Yay, okay.
Ronnie's like,
All
go
right.
online with it. Yeah.
So can you, explain what I'm doing, or should I do it, or what?
Okay, so yeah, Maria was talking last week how she gets these visions or whatever, and you'll lay down and record yourself, and you won't remember what you're saying, and you'll review it the next day, and so you're going to read one of these visions that you had, right?
Yes.
That's awesome. Yeah, you're in the right crowd. We want to hear this for sure. So.
This one, this one was crazy, and I don't know why I chose this one, so I'm going to go ahead and just do it. Okay. My intention on September 12th, 2019, is to connect with the galactics.
Mm-hmm.
I am grounding into Gaia, her crystalline core, and connecting and drawing up into my chakra system and my whole body, her divine light. I am also connecting with my crown chakra into the other realms, source, universe, all that is. My intention is to connect with that Palladian that I saw, or any other galactic beings or interdimensionals that are here to help start me on this journey, because you guys have been calling me. I can feel my vibrations rising. I have a labradorite in my left hand and an amethyst point in my right hand, and I also have a hematite in my pocket to keep me grounded. I don't want to take off and never come back. So I'm now in my backyard, ready to climb my tree. So I'm already in my visions. I'm having my visions. Here I go, climbing up, and I continue to climb up till I reach my cloud. I pierce through the veil till I enter the cloud. I'm asking for a guide to meet me there. I don't want to go by myself this time. Someone's here, but I'm not sure. I'm not picking up too much. I just said someone's here with me. I am waiting to see if anything unfolds. Any doors or portals, anything to connect me where I'm supposed to go. I feel St. Paul with me. He's recently been my guide. I know him as Paul the Apostle, but he asked to be called St. Paul, so I respect that. I feel very comfortable with him. So we are going up these stairs that are made out of the clouds that opened up right before me. We're ascending the stairs. Looks like a staircase going up a level. Okay. These stairs led to a portal, which instantly took us to this craft, this spaceship that I tend to go to a lot, and I always end up in this corridor where there's this long window, and I can see out into the stars. I see stars. My guide, he's just a mist. I don't know. He's like, because I can see our reflection, and I don't even know. I don't even look like me. I look like a lizard. I look like a lizard being, like, wow. And I'm wearing this apparel, a veil over my head, and flowing purple clothes. Sheer. It kind of reminds me of what Indian women wear, those beautiful flowing dresses with the, you know what I'm saying, man. I wish I could describe what I see, but I'm a lizard. I haven't identified what race I am. I don't know. And my guide, he's just a mist of grayish white mist, cloud, vapor, I don't know. I see energy. But I could see little features once in a while, like eyes or a beard, or like he's wearing a white gown. So we're proceeding away from the window. We're going down the corridor to these sliding doors that open once we reach them. and we're inside an assembly room, the ones that have the seats that are positioned in a semicircle, and there's a podium in the middle, and there's a window behind the podium where I can see stars. My guide leaves me at the podium. I'm standing before the podium, and he goes and waits against the wall while the assembly begins. People are starting to appear. I don't know. To the left of me and to the right of me, they are just sitting, and I am waiting. The connection's bad again. I don't know why this keeps happening to me. I keep seeing a wolf. What's a wolf doing here on the spaceship? Just a guide. Okay, it feels like a dog. It's like a canine energy? Yeah, canine. But there's a man standing. I lost my place, you guys.
Oh, it's okay.
I had the wrong page. The reflection, I got that from you. Here it is. I'll tell you that later. I found the page. Okay. Yeah, canine. But there's a man standing before me, and he's got a dog's head. It's black, almost like a Doberman Pinscher. Anubis? Anubis? Oh, yeah, Anubis. Keeper of the dead? Gatekeeper. He's a top gatekeeper. And what's he doing? He's awarding me with something. He gave me an access card. It's like he's giving me access to restricted areas, the many dimensions that I have access to. Wow, how exciting. Thank you. Okay. He steps away, and there's another lioness being. She looks like a leopard. She's speckled with spots. She's wearing one of those gold bands on her forehead, and it's just like one swirl, a spiral, a swirl, a single one. Lyran, feline folk. Yeah, everything went blank. I don't know what happened. I just seem to be floating in this wave of colorful energy. It's almost as if I'm going through a tunnel, but it's so wavy, like currents. So it's like I'm not just going forward quickly. I'm going with the tides. Oh, yeah. It's like under the sea currents. It's neat because it doesn't just go straight. It turns here, it turns there, and it's very colorful. It's like a wormhole now. Okay, the crystals in my hands are really revving up because my freaking hands are going numb all the way to my elbows. My whole vibrations are just raising. I landed somewhere, but it's just gray. But someone's approaching me now. He's like a scholar. Oh, I know where I'm at. This is the Akashic Records. I have access. I have an access card. I just pulled it out, like my library card. Oh, my God. So now I'm walking through these just rows and rows of these tall walls and books. It's just crazy. Oh, I'm at the M's for Maria's. There's this one book that's glowing at me. Of all these books, this one's glowing at me way in the dark. I can see it. I'm going to go reach for it. There's a picture of my avatar that I'm in right now when I was a child of about 8 years old. Holy shit. And I began to cry. It's a confirmation. I have a connection with Arcturians. They are reminding me of a childhood memory that I have. I would see a portal open up in the wall, and these beings would come out and stand around my bed and communicate amongst themselves. I could hear them whispering telepathically. This went on for a summer, and they're confirming that. A lot of my mediumistic clairs were activated, but it was part of a plan, that activation. I was a healer? I'm a healer? I'm crying again. I specialize in activations, light codes, data. I help bring them in. Oh, wow, thank you. It was a validation, a confirmation, because I kind of was piecing things together, especially watching Eileen and Shane and the YouTube channel that I watch. They talk about this kind of stuff, so that's why all the crazy stuff started happening. I started seeing stuff, and it freaked me out. That's what the owl symbolizes. That's my connection to them. Arcturians visit with the owl. Oh, thank you. Validations. I'm just walking around waiting to see what I'm drawn to. I'm still not sure what Arcturians look like anyways. Lizards? LOL. Is that why I saw myself as a lizard? It's like I'm floating and I'm going into this, looks like an iris of an eye, but I don't know whose eye it is. There's my guide. Man, I don't know what I'm seeing. I don't know. It feels like Zeus. I can hear it. I lost the page again. Oh, I lost the page.
It's okay. We're all ready.
Man, I have so many freaking pages of, oh my goodness. Here it is. Okay. I hear him laughing. Something like that. Okay. There's just this energy of lightning bolts. Man, it's like the realm of the gods. Different gods. Deities. I'm not getting anything else. I never connected with that Palladian, but I got a lot out of this Akashic Records, man. So I'm going down this tunnel. I feel myself going back into the cloud. St. Paul is with me. Dude, my hands are just flopping around. I got so much energy with these crystals. Okay, it's starting to calm down now. Okay, I'm climbing back down my tree, and I'm back, and we are done. That was it. And see,
Wow.
I mentioned you and Eileen. I'm saying, it's as if I'm speaking to an audience because I'm saying dudes. Like,
Right.
dudes, my hands are, yeah, it's like, and I'm just, I don't know.
But you can't, like, remember who you were talking to or anything. You only remember what you say, right?
No, I don't remember anything.
Right.
After I'm done, I have to go back in. I wait 24 hours, and then I go back and listen to it. And then I go, holy crap. And then I go back and I dictate it. I type it all up and print it out. And I save them, and yeah.
How
I've got
often does
pages.
this happen to you, Maria? Can you just do it whenever you want? You just set an intention and go?
Now I can, yes. Before it was random. When I was meditating, I could meditate for weeks, nothing happens. Every day, and then all of a sudden I would go on this vision. And then it started happening more and more. And now it happens every time.
Well, how did you know you were going there? What made you think I better record myself? Did someone hear you talking or something?
Yeah. Okay, what happened was I was drawn to shamanism.
Mm-hmm.
And my cousin and her friend were going to a shamanic circle for women here in locally, and she went and she liked it, and she told me about it, but we have to be invited. So I was invited maybe a couple of months later. I was invited to go, and the leader, she's really amazing, and we do drumming. We drum, and she taught me that about climbing a tree to go up or finding a hole to go down. And I got a drum. I got my own drum now. But so she's the one that noticed that every time we went into meditation, I always had a notepad and a pen next to me. Well, she encourages us to, so we can take notes after the journey if we had any, insight. But I grab my pen while I'm in the meditation and start writing with my eyes closed. So it's really scribbly, it's really messy. Sometimes I can't even read my own writing, but I try my best. So she told me, she gave me this information. She says, why don't you try, and she told me about my cell phone, use my recorder, and record yourself. And I'm like, okay, I'll try that. So the next day, I did it. And see, the last meditation I did was, I think it was 2 months ago. at the circle, and I had 2 journeys, and both were galactic beings. They kept telling me to look up to the stars, or call on the stars, or go to the stars, something like that. I have it written down somewhere. So I'm like, I told the circle, I'm like, I'm seeing aliens, you guys. I'm like, they're talking to me, and there was a message for the group, so, about what we do when we sleep, where we go when we sleep, and they said something about the body. The body needs sleep, but your spirit does not. So you have, you go places. So I was telling that to the group, and it's like, wow. So, and I listened. So the next day, I set the intention to meet the galactic beings, and that one's another one. That one had Mount Shasta in it. I've never been to Mount Shasta, so yeah, I'll find it, and maybe I'll call in next time.
Yeah,
read
that'd be
it.
cool.
I think I should get organized. Yeah, but that one was more like of a personal. This one I just read to you was more of a validation, and it was more of a personal one. Well, most of them are, but a lot of them have tidbits for humanity. They have some information. Yeah,
did you hear Jean's BQH session? Jean, yeah. She had hers.
I thought I listened to all of them.
In hers, there was a staff that had an Anubis on the end of it.
Ooh, I don't remember. Maybe I didn't hear. Oh wow, I gotta go back and listen to that.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of how long ago that was. I would say probably it was in July. I would think. I'll just have to find it.
That was I know I watched it, but I don't remember that part. So, yeah, I'm gonna look back.
Yeah, it should be in the middle of
detailed.
July. It looks like is when I turned it into an audio and compressed it. So, yeah, and I just found it interesting because the dog had the whole thing.
But yeah, I had mentioned this to you, but someone told me, because I had asked, because I thought he was a god, and then why is he here on a spaceship?
Mm-hmm.
And then someone told me that Anubis is a galactic being because he's one of the animal-headed beings.
Mm-hmm.
I guess there's a lot of different species of animal. I've seen bird ones, but their whole body's a bird.
Oh,
no,
really?
they don't have the ones that I've seen. They don't really have. They're humanoid, but they're covered in feathers.
Wow.
But the Anubis, he has an actual humanish body. I mean, with a man's body.
Right.
And from the neck up, he's a dog.
Yeah, that's
so it's
strange.
a trip, dude.
Yeah.
What am I seeing?
And there's the felines too. So yeah, that's
I know,
awesome
this was
that you're
the
able to.
second one.
Now I'm wondering. So you're not? Are you able? How much detail when you read it? Are you able to remember it, or no?
Yeah, when I read it, then I start remembering what I was seeing, and I'm like,
okay,
oh, yeah.
So it's like you had a dream, and then you start remembering as you're reading it. You can kind of
recalling
visualize it. That's awesome, though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I recall it once I started reading it, and I also cry when I'm crying. I remember crying. I remember feeling the emotions that I felt, and I would cry. I cry a lot in these visions,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're connecting up. That stuff's powerful. I get that all the time.
Yeah, and then I was listening to, was it Marilyn on the show with Sherry?
Mm-hmm.
And listening, she goes does battle and stuff, man. Shoot.
Yeah.
He's like, dang. I'm like, and does she meditate for like hours? Or to get the book or something? I mean, man.
Yeah. I think it's just natural for her to be able to just go out of her body like that. That's essentially what you're doing, right? Or do you feel like
so, because I was like Sherry, man. Sherry, she can kind of do that too, dude. Sherry,
oh yeah,
she can kind of do that too. And and then you work on it, man, and you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
And And I don't know, what category does this fall into? You know, is it a type of, is it like a, oh, you know what it reminds me of? Is it Ezekiel that used to have visions?
Yeah.
And he'd have these crazy-ass visions, and even John had the revelations, right? The crazy, he couldn't even explain. It's like
right.
everything was symbolic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, maybe that's a certain type of modality that I'm just learning.
It was, what was it? It said something like in the end times there'd be more people that were prophets, and I think it was in Joel or something. More dreams, more prophecies, and so yeah, it's almost like you guys are prophets or channels
Something like
or something.
that. Something about, because there was another one that I did where some galactic beings came by and they told me that's when they told me that I'm a messenger for them. Like, I don't know which one it is, but I'll find it. But yeah, I'm a messenger for them, and I'm like, okay, yeah,
that's cool.
It's neat. It's really neat. So, yeah, that was neat. Thank you for letting me read that.
Well, thanks for sharing it, and definitely call back with some more. That's exciting. I love that stuff. Yeah, somebody in the chat, even I think it was April, said this is like a BQH session. I was like, yeah, it is.
I know, doesn't it feel like that? That's why I'm saying when I listen to the BQH, I go, that's kind of how I sound.
Yeah.
Like, because I'm talking, but I'm more, now I see this, and now I see that, or, but I'm more soft-spoken, I guess, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So I can't wait to tell you guys more. Yay.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely. Yeah, call in and share some more.
Okay. Have a great night, you guys. I'm going to stay on with you.
All right. Have a good night, Marie. Thanks for calling.
You too.
Lots of love
Bye.
to you. Bye-bye.
Let's go.
You're listening to The Love Stream.
Unbiased and on the fence.
All right. Going back to the phone lines. 3, 2, 1. Who am I talking to?
I think you're talking to me. I'm
hey.
not sure, though.
Yep, I'm talking to
you. Well, hey.
Get your name in here.
So how have you been? Everything going good with you?
Yeah, everything's been going great. Yeah, I managed to get out in nature a little bit, and yeah, it was good to get away from the computer and stuff. It's hard. You can really feel the addiction, like, what if I got an email? What if I got this? Just to let all that go. It's kind of tough at first. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I love my iPad.
Yeah, and you feel like, if you don't have that stuff with you, you just feel like, what am I missing,
I don't know. For me, it's my connection to all of you. In my life, my husband is not where I am. So I don't talk to him about all of this stuff. He's a little more traditional than I am. So my son is very open-minded, but he tends to be more open-minded than me. And sometimes he just throws me for a loop, and I have to think on it for a week or two before I can talk about it some more.
So did you notice some similarities with, let's see, there's several of you all that had the eye. I think you and April had an eye in your BQH. A few other people had an eye. That's strange that comes through.
Yeah, I think April had the purple mist too. April, I think you're in the chat. Did you have the purple mist too? I think she did.
Yeah,
and I think
had the
Eileen
purple.
did.
I get that when I meditate.
You did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes when I'm trying to do channeling, but that's what I was calling for, because I've been trying to do channeling more, and I did.
How are you trying to do it?
When I was just when I go to bed, when I lay down and it's quiet and I'm relaxed, and I just, say, okay, I want to talk to somebody. And like last night I was laying there and I decided I would just chat with Jesus. And it's really interesting to me because I gave up religion very early. I never really bought the Christian version of things. but I always liked Jesus a lot. And the more spiritual I'm becoming, even though I still do not care for all of the Old Testament stuff, and even a lot of the New Testament stuff. I'm not a fan of all the apostles and their letters and to churches and stuff and their efforts to build a church. It kind of puts me off. But when they talk about what Jesus did and who he talked to and what he said, that to me is fascinating. And I've always wanted to just have a book that pulls Jesus out of context from all of that and just leaves it in, okay, who was he talking to? What was his point? You know, this was what he said. And so what does that mean, really? You know, and if you just look at what he said and who he was talking to, it's very different than what the religious leaders try to put it as. I would go to church with my mom. My mom was a Baptist, and I went with her a few times. But, you know, we were Catholic when I was little, so they did the same thing, but not with the same degree that the Baptists did it. They were, like, masters of this. But they would go and pick, like, this little piece of the Bible and then this little piece. So you'd be sitting there with the Bible, and you'd hear these pages just going because everybody's flipping through trying to keep up with the pastor as he's cherry-picking out all of these little pieces. Right. And then he puts it all together into a message that had nothing to do with anything.
Right.
You know, he picked what he wanted to make his own point. Yeah. And then was like, well, this is the message I got from God. Well, okay. So, you know, I think that a lot of them are very well intentioned, and yet their messages were always so negative, and they did not go with the things that Jesus said. You know, so I was like, okay, so who is Jesus? What is Jesus? So I always think a lot about him. And that is funny to me, being so irreligious and disrespectful of religion even. Right. So I'm fascinated with trying to make sense of it. And so that's why I love listening to you and April when you talk about your histories and how your points of view have evolved. It's so cool to me to hear that.
Yeah, so and it's so tough to get out of it. That's so much. I even now I still notice programming, you know, that just kind of comes up. I'm like, wow, that's just so ingrained that I don't even think that way. But that was sort of my natural thing that my brain went to just then with, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. So just so ingrained.
I was talking last week in the chat. You know, I don't know if people are freaked out by Satan, but you know, that to me was something that, you know, they dug it in deep, and then it's reinforced in all of the horror movies and, you know, all the even TV shows. Oh, the demons are coming. So, yeah, I don't believe that. I don't believe in demons. And yet, you know, when this character presented to me while I was doing my nighttime meditation kind of thing, and he named himself Bright. And I was like, Bright? Okay, bright light angel, are you Lucifer?
Right.
And he was like, yeah. But he's like, he wanted to be presented differently than attached to all of the dogma that's going with that identity of Lucifer and Satan. So it was really interesting. And I'm still dealing with it. You know, it's entrenched down in my psyche, and I'm really having a hard time dealing with it. So I'm like, okay, you know, I'll be your friend, but you know, just you don't come around unless I say I'm ready to talk to you, which is way different than I handle any other character that I've dealt with, you know.
Right.
So, you know, I'm very comfortable talking with my angel, and I'm very comfortable talking with Jesus, but you know, I feel that deep discomfort with this other character of Bright.
Right.
So, yeah. So it was very cool to talk to Jesus. And that's not the first time. I actually had a vision of him first. This was like months ago. And he looked like a kind of, you could call him, he looked more like a Mexican or an Arab than a European, as all of the paintings like to project him as.
Yeah.
And, you know, that, and then there was a lady who actually did a painting, and, you know, she's very Christian, so I didn't want to, you know, spend too much time on her channel, but she did a painting of a vision she had as a child, and she knew that this person that she met was Jesus, and she did a painting as a child and was like masterful as an artist as a child. And that character that she painted looked like the one that I saw. So that was very interesting. And
it's almost like she channeled it then. Like, that's all. That always amazes me. You know,
I can't remember if it was a vision or if it was like a near-death experience. I can't remember her story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was interesting. And children they're very open. So,
April's saying, what did she say? Who is bright light? That was Lucifer. Lucifer, none other than Lucifer. There was actually a, gosh, I wish I could remember the name right away, but Pamela Arlen channeled Lucifer. She had a different name for him. I can't remember. Haziel or some weird name. I can't remember it now, but I thought it was pretty interesting because it like painted him more like a scapegoat than a tempter. You know what I mean? Like he's sort of like who humans throw all of their blame on. You know, sort of like the devil made me do it mentality.
Yeah, that's what I've gotten too. And that wasn't from him. That was, you know, in talking with my own guardian angel, that you know, this is the story that people need so that they can deal with their own dark side, because all of the evil, there is no evil, there is chaos, and chaos is necessary to have free choice. There was a really, really good illustration of that. The guy said, okay, when everything is synchronous, there is no difference. You know, there's no, if you're totally in love with God, you know who God is, and you're totally, you know, whatever God says is right and true and good, then nobody's ever going to go different than that. So you have to introduce chaos so that people can actually have free will. So this whole free will experiment of, you know, universe, whether it's us or aliens, whatever, you know, ETs, whatever you want to call them, it's because we're all experiencing free choice and free will to make our choices. So that's the whole reason that there's chaos. But we cannot deal with chaos. You know, we long to go back to that structure and order and the love environment that it's in. You know, it's glorious. I can't even describe what I felt. I felt it twice, and it was so expansive and so, I mean, it's like trying to contain a nuclear explosion inside your heart. That's the only way I can explain it, how it feels. And I actually, when my angel did it, I was like, you have to stop because I'm going to blow up. Literally, I'm going to blow up. I can't hold this. So and then the other time I felt it was when my dog died, believe it or not. He came back just to let me know he was okay. I don't know. I've never had that happen with any other soul, but he came back, and it was that same kind of incredible, just like a wash over me of love and joy and happiness that it's inexplicable. There's just not words to describe it. And that's why I wind up just saying it's like trying to contain a star or a nuclear explosion inside of yourself. You just can't. You can't keep it. You can't hold that much emotional joy inside you. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is. April, let's see. April says, what did he say to Ronnie? This totally goes with my last session. All is God.
Yes. Yeah. You know, even if you want to think that Satan is this being who came here to do all of this, these are angels. And my experience with my angel is that, you know, you're living in this pure love. Nothing is going to be worth giving that up. You wouldn't rebel from God. They love God so much. So if he allowed himself to be used as this negative character in our stories, it was because he loves God and would do whatever God wanted him to do. With love. He would do it happily with love. He would be the bad guy. So, you know, think about how much love somebody has to have. You know, I had, where I lived in Florida, there was a very busy road. Not very busy. It was a country road, but a lot of traffic went by and people tended to drive too fast. So I saw a lot of animals get hit. And one day I was just leaving my driveway and somebody ran over 3 ducks. And I was freaking out. I jumped out of my car and I ran over there. And the ducks were suffering. They were broken and flapping around. They were, you know, still alive and in pain. And I was like, all I have to do is grab the duck by the neck and swing it and break its neck and put it out of its misery. And I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I stood there crying and let that duck suffer until it died because I couldn't kill it. So when you think about how much love it takes to help somebody in a painful way, it's incredible. Mm-hmm. You know, that it is a lot of love required. So I don't see Satan as a real character. I see there's an angel who has allowed his essence to be associated with this. And he said that he does provide a hell environment for people who cannot forgive themselves. If they think that they need to be punished in order to be able to get past whatever, you know, they did, that it was too bad that they have to be punished, mm-hmm. then he gives them what they need so that they can grow, and when they're ready and they say, okay, I don't need this anymore, then it's over. So any hell that happens is a person's own creation. Mm-hmm. It's what they wanted and needed. So,
and there's people walking the earth right now that are pretty much in hell. You know, so you don't even have to die and go to some other place, because there's people that are in hell on a daily basis, whether it be in pain or, you know, just deep depression or whatever issues they have going on. They're resonating in that lower frequency all the time, you know.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe we're holding the space for the light, and he's holding the space to allow the chaos, so people can have the experience and make their choices. Yeah.
Well, I think even when you break down the word Satan, it's adversary. So it's almost like an opponent, you know, just to make things challenging and to resist. You know, I mean, if you think about it, the Earth didn't resist us. We just fly off into space. So resistance is good, to, you know, on some level, you know.
Yeah, well, you know, I've always been very quietly rebellious. Any kind of authority. So, you know, I kind of sympathize with that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Never out loud. I'm very, very muted.
That's right. Yeah. April's saying the part in her scroll that said, love both light and darkness. Darkness is not evil. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And that gets back to Jesus saying, like, love your enemies, that anybody can love their friends. It's loving your enemies that's the difficult thing to do. You know?
Yeah. And, you know, the whole part where he said to turn the other cheek, mm-hmm. you know, when you think about that, when somebody comes at you, your natural reaction is to go defensive, whether it's emotionally or physically. But when you can just, what you were talking about, I think last week, you were talking about just stepping back and looking at the situation, you know, internally. You don't have to physically step back, but you just, if you give yourself time to get past your natural physiological reaction to stressors and just look, then you can make the choice of how am I going to react to this, you know. And when you think about it, that's how you start a fight. You go up and you strike somebody and you're like, you know, whether it was the old days where they fought somebody with their glove or, you know, threw the gauntlet down, whatever. It's the challenge. And the challenge is not actually to physical violence. It's the challenge is to making your own choice of how you're going to react. I think that's why I love Doctor Who, because he always gives people a choice, you know, when he's got an opponent.
Right.
But he's also, you know, for the most part, he's pretty nonviolent until, you know, he has to, like, save the world or something. But, yeah, I'm a big science fiction fan, so.
Yeah, I love the science stuff, too.
Yeah.
Fiction and otherwise.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see. Did we have a troll in the... Looks like we might have had a troll that had to bring down the band hammer on there. Let's see. Okay, so since your BQH session, have you had how's things been? Have you had any more experiences or anything that you feel like was triggered by it?
Well, the channeling, and really it set off a new round of digging in to myself and you know, facing myself, and that's, to me, worse than anything. Man, I hate having to face all that garbage. Every time I think I've cleared up, and no, there's more. Just dig a little deeper. Yep. There's another layer down there. Like, I think I'm down to the Pliocene or something. Yeah, I got to keep digging, though.
That is how it is. You get this, reach a little plateau. You're like, oh, finally, it's smooth sailing. And then you get hit with the next round of stuff. So onward and upward.
Well, that's, you know, the first 6 months when I had my awakening it was crazy. I mean, it was like I was playing catch up because I had stalled out. You know, I think I've talked about that before. I went through a really, really deep depression after my sister died, and I was supposed to wake up around 2012. But that was, you know, she died a couple of years before that in 2010, and I stayed depressed for years, and it just stalled me out. And so when I finally did wake up, it was like, okay, you are on a crash course, girl. Bam. It was serious. You know, it was like tears every night and, you know, wailing and whining and bitching. So, you know, when we kind of I did hit kind of a plateau area, and I was like, look, I need a break. You got to give me a break. I can't keep doing this. I'm exhausted emotionally. I'm just exhausted. I need to just chill out and let all of this settle in and, you know, get comfortable where I am. So my angel did. He backed off, but the BQH kind of set it off again. But I've also been exploring with the channeling and trying to open back up, because when I was depressed, I really just shut everything off. You know, if somebody wanted to contact me, they would have needed a 2x4. You know,
oh man,
right upside my head, yeah.
So you think you're more ready now for more experiences where you just needed a break from it?
Yeah, I did need a break, and I got it, and now I think that's where this whole introduction to Bright came in, is that, I still have programming, and I still have fear based on that programming. So, it's, I tried other people for it, but I need to deal with it myself. So.
Well, I'm anxious to hear how that goes. So definitely keep us posted.
I
know April wants to hear. But man, I wish I could find that.
You just gotta face it.
I'll let you guys know. Check the chat if you're watching this later. Check the description box. I'll look for that Pamela Erlin video and put a link in there for you guys, because it was pretty interesting. It was really just a whole different perspective on it, And I've been thinking, if this is like, people consider this like maybe a consciousness sort of simulation, and there is some sort of Satan sort of opponent, adversary that's constantly challenging us, I think it would probably be free of emotion, right? It would just be doing its job. I don't think it would be like people are imagining, like demons are just out to get you. They're angry and they want, you know what I mean? It's sort of like emotion driven.
Yeah.
We're emotional beings. I see that, they're just running a program,
Well, it's not even that. They're doing it with love. I mean, think about a child in the hospital who's being treated. They're going through some horrific things, injections and surgeries and, rehab and skin grafts, all of this stuff. And
they don't understand the
people who
pain.
are doing it, they're doing it with love. They're caring for these people the best that they can. They're doing it with love, even though it's hurting them in the short term.
Yeah.
And that is the same kind of thing. And, to me, I'm like, okay, well, I'm not turning into a devil worshiper. I'm not worshiping anybody. I have a direct line to the Creator, and that's it. Nobody else is coming in between me and the Creator. So he's like, well, that's not what I want. And he said that. He doesn't want to be worshipped as in, the Luciferian cult that's kind of coming up. And he doesn't want to be Satan worshipped, because Luciferians see him as the bringer of light and knowledge. And, the Christian and other faiths see him as the dark, bringing the bad creature who came in between us and God.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not either of those, and he doesn't want to be worshipped for being evil, as the Satanists would do, and he doesn't want to be worshipped as a bringer of light like the Luciferians would do, and I think that's why he renamed himself Bright. That he's a bright character. And I actually saw a vision of him too, in a human form, and he was actually like artistically beautiful, like you would stand in front of a painting and go, wow, this, whoever modeled this was like perfect being. He was that beautiful. He was just, I can't call him handsome. He was beautiful, stunning, like perfect form of a human. So, yeah. So he is actually a beautiful being.
Yeah, I heard he was beautiful. Well, I mean, if it's an angel, you would think he'd be perfect looking in some form or another. But, of course, after the fall, he's got to get ugly, right? I mean, that's just, got to make him scary.
That's right. Got to give him horns and cloven hooves and turn him red. Give him a big nose. And, yeah.
What do you think about Moses having horns now? Do you remember him having horns before?
Moses has horns now?
Yeah, in the art.
This is a new Mandela effect.
Well, I've known about it about a year, I guess, but it's still pretty trippy. But when you said the horns thing, I'm like, it just brought back the whole. I don't know. Yeah,
never heard that one.
I better make sure. Images. Let's see. Well, maybe it was a statue. Let me put statue there. Oh no, did the horns go away, guys? The horns might have went away. I don't know. He did have horns about a year ago. I don't see him now. People would be like, oh my God, you're crazy. That's just how it works, though.
That's wild.
I need to go find the video where I mentioned that before, because and I'm probably showing a picture of him without horns now in that video. Yeah, I don't see. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, no, he's still got horns. I found some. Moses Michelangelo, if you want to find. It's the Moses that Michelangelo created, I guess. So
I'll have to look at that.
more popular ones. Yeah, you actually have to click the image. The horns are cut off the image, but yeah, that's weird. The horns, like, why would? I don't know. People say it's like sort of somebody saying Viking. Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Oh,
Michelle's opinions. Remembers them.
Yeah, she says she remembers them.
So someone said it was like the ray of God shining down. I'm like, but they look like horns. They don't look like rays. They look like horns when you look at them.
Yeah, I think Michelangelo was more talented than to make a ray look like a horn.
Right.
So electromagnetic frequency is asking if a man or woman is doing evil and they know they are, how is that classified? That's their choice. They're making a choice. And if they know that it's evil, you know, that they're harming somebody, to me the harm is when you break someone else's free will. That is, you know, that's the cutoff. You cannot go against somebody else's free will choice.
But then there's justification across the board. So, I mean, like, we might look at, you know, the people at the very top that's enslaving humanity and say, look at those horrible people. But from their point of view, they're like, hey, the wealth of the heathen is laid up for the just. We're the chosen ones. You know, from their point of view, you know, they might not be doing evil, even though it's, you follow what I'm saying, right,
yeah,
Ronnie?
Oh, absolutely. They've actually done psychological studies on this. And these very rich people, they believe sincerely and completely that they are rich because they deserve to be rich. And that if you aren't rich, it's because you don't deserve it.
Right.
And that allows them to justify underpaying people who aren't rich because they don't deserve more.
Right.
So, you know, it allows them to treat everybody else as lesser beings. So it's a self-justification. You know, they believe it because they want to believe it because it benefits them, you know?
Yeah, and we all do it, really, because, I mean, I had to go through and really get honest with myself about a lot of things. Like, you know, do I honestly know this? Do I really want to believe this without any experience or whatever? And once you do that, you can peel away a lot of stuff that you know, like, hey, I can bring it back if it turns out to be my experience. But for now, it really hasn't been my experience that this works this way. Let me just put it on the shelf for now, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So I tend to think that we're all presented with opportunities to see things differently and change our minds and open our minds and open our hearts. You know, that we all get those opportunities. So if they get that opportunity and they don't take it, they're making choices. And those are the choices that are going to define, you know, the fate of your soul. So if this, I know this makes people uncomfortable, so I don't want to dwell on it, but, you know, we are kind of in a choice time. You know, if we're going to be splitting off and people are making their choices and either elevating themselves or staying or lowering their frequency, then, you know, that's their choice. And they're going to live with the consequences of their choices. And we will too, whatever our choices are.
Yeah. But I was even saying how, like, we don't even know, like, say someone stays behind, they need another 100 lifetimes to, you know, to grow their soul, to be ready to move to 5D. And by the time they live those 100 lives and then they go to 5D, it could be at the same time we get to 5D from our perspective. And we're like, how did you make it? You know what I mean? And I mean, we just don't know because the whole time construct is an illusion. So we don't know how anything works outside of this, you know.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we got the Mandela effect. So one day we could be in 5D and everybody say it's always been like that too. That's always a possibility.
Yes.
Which I'd be totally cool with that. But, you know.
Well, I'm kind of envious because I'm not going. I don't get to go.
You don't get to go to 5D?
Nope. Nope. I go somewhere else.
Uh-oh.
I'm not going on the spaceships either, so I don't know where I'm going.
Well, this has to do with you coming here against your will to begin with. Then.
Yeah. Well, because my higher self is an angel, so I don't go with the humans. The humans. I'm like, in the Bible they talk about the watchers.
Mm-hmm.
That's my soul is a watcher. So I'm here. I'm watching.
Being watched by yourself now, kind of, right?
I guess so. Yeah. Although I think she's in trouble for dumping me here, so because she broke my free will. So she broke the rule. Yeah. Which I was like, okay, so if she's in trouble, that means I'm in trouble because I'm her and I would have done the exact same thing because I understand why she did it. And so I had, that was hard. That was actually really hard because it has a lot to do with, I have like really deep abandonment issue, even though I was never abandoned. It was like, but all through my life, I was like, I always felt like I was an outsider, so I always felt abandoned. And it all went back to before I was born, how I got here. So, yeah, I had a real hard time dealing with that and working through forgiveness for it. But then I did. I realized, that the way I remember myself as a child, a young child, before I really interacted a lot with the world, I was just so happy. My mom was like, I was a terrible mother and I really apologize. And I was like, no, you weren't. You were exactly the mother I needed. You were fine. And, I appreciate you as you were, And she was going through her own stuff, so I understand what she meant. She had lost her mother and, she was depressed, I think. Yeah. But,
yeah, it makes you reevaluate your own relationships when people die,
Yeah. So, I felt bad that she felt bad because I actually was really, really happy as a child. I can see myself and I feel like I was just like a little sunbeam running around. And it was really funny because up until I was in my 20s, everybody would called me Sunshine. And I was just a really glowy kind of person, even though I was really quiet. I was just happy. And I never, I trusted just so completely. You could screw me over 100 times and I would go back again because, I trusted you still. And so that to me is what my angelic self is like. She is that really happy, trusting soul. So whatever she did, she didn't do it to be mean or hurtful. She did it because she felt really great love for the earth and all the humans.
So you're glad you're here now?
No. But I'm happy to go ahead and finish what I started. So I'll put it that way. And good things have happened. I've had a really interesting and fun life. I have a great kid, a wonderful husband, and it's just a beautiful world. It is. But I do have a really, really hard time dealing with the darkness and the negativity of people. And I don't know if it's completely because of being empathic and feeling so deeply that it hurts, So I just, I'm much happier to just sit out on my patio and look at my trees and go down to the barn and play with the chickens and pet the dogs than to go into town and go shopping.
Right. Go and be around people.
Yeah. It's really, really hard. I really am a hermit. So.
I've been
Yeah.
realizing just in our group, it's hard to even get people to come out and meet like-minded people, let alone just go out in regular public. It's funny.
Yeah, well,
I get
that's
it though.
To me, even if it's people that I love and like to be around, it's still very hard because the emotions. Even, I when I would go to watch my son play soccer, and they would do the national anthem, or you'd sing or something, I would start crying. I'd be like, why am I crying? And I'd be like, I don't even know what I feel. I was just so overwhelmed with emotion that the national anthem would make me cry. And I realized later, much later, that it was everybody else's emotion. Their pride and their love of country was just like too much. I couldn't handle it.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's a neat ability, but
Yeah,
I can see it being kind of a pain in the butt too, I guess.
It is. If I go to the store and it's busy, like Christmas shopping, I will do my Christmas shopping in the summertime because I can't go to the mall in the holiday season. I go in and the noise and all the people, I feel dizzy. I feel like I'm just going to fall over. I can't think. I can't remember what I'm doing. It's totally overwhelming. So yeah, it is.
You're talking about when you go out shopping for Christmas and there's that joyful holiday spirit that's so thick in the air.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, everybody's in a panic. I've got to find this and I've got to find that. And,
trampling people. Yeah.
Yeah. So it just it overwhelms me, and I can't function. And I feel, I don't get panic attacks, but I just feel horrible. It's like, I just can't breathe. I can't think. I can't even settle my eyes on something. And that's something I realized just right this minute, that when I would walk around, I would always look at the ground. Mm-hmm. And people were like, did you lose something? It was like I couldn't look at people. I just had to find something clear of faces and all their energy to just focus on the ground. I guess I was literally grounding myself.
Right.
How weird is that? Huh.
So it makes it worse, I guess, if you're looking at someone's facial expression and their eyes and stuff. You're going to pick up their energy a lot stronger than.
You do. You see everything. You see, you notice, that little flicker of annoyance. Normal people don't notice it, and they just keep going. But you see all of these little negative thoughts that people harbor inside, which is right. You shouldn't be sharing everything.
Right.
But, as an empath, you're seeing it because you're feeling it. Mm-hmm. And they did a study, and they called people who I think are empathic, they called us neurotic because we're overly focused on negative reactions. And it's like, well, you would focus on negative reactions if you feel them,
Right.
when you can't help but feel when somebody else is mad. I mean, I could walk into a room and I feel like somebody's squeezing me, and a weight is coming down on me, and find out, they've been fighting. There's been arguing going on here, and you feel that.
Yeah.
So you are very attentive to it because you can't help but be. So, yeah.
But I've
maybe
noticed
it is
that
a
too,
little
like, walking in the room and you can feel the tension in the air. The vibration everybody's putting on. And nobody really has to say there was just a fight. You can feel it, argument or whatever.
Yeah. Actually, when I was getting my degree, I wanted to do an experiment. We had to do a study, and it wound up we had to do, we just did surveys, like a poll. but I wanted to set up an experiment and have rooms set up where people are very much in love, and another room where people are arguing, and another room where people are just sitting reading, a textbook and they're bored, and have people walk in and see if they could feel that, and in a scientific setting, to where it was, you could measure it and recreate it. But yeah, that didn't happen.
It didn't work, huh?
No, I never got to do it because we had to do a survey.
Oh, okay. So did they go on to do the study, though? Did you get to see the results of it?
No, nobody did it. It was just something I wanted to do. I was like, that would be really interesting.
Oh,
to do
right.
that. Yeah.
That would be cool to do. Yeah, that sounds like something, man, if you could probably, gosh, what's his name? Dean Radin. He would probably conduct something like that. Very scientific, too. That would be right down his alley. He's a really smart guy. But he's the guy that did the, the precog, like, me and Eileen were talking about it, where they flash images on the screen and people's bodies were responding up to 6 seconds in advance.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
that would be cool. Yeah.
And, I think that ties into,
that would be really interesting.
like, times when people say they were going to pull out in traffic and something told them not to, and wait a second, because that's happened to me before, where we would have totally got T-boned, but something just told me not to go, and people have had that before. And I wonder if it's that 5 or 6 seconds ahead of time you can feel it coming, disaster. And you're like, what's going on,
Yeah, it is. It's really, I know that there is precognition, and I know that there's more, That's, I always look at it like, I wear glasses. I've worn glasses since I was in the 2nd grade, I think, or 1st grade. They discovered I was nearsighted. So I can't see across the room. I can't even see halfway across the room. I see, like, blurry stuff over there, which I recognize what it is. I know that's a chair, but it's blurry, and it doesn't look anything like it looks when I put my glasses on. And so that's how I think of it, that, some people have better than 20/20 vision, and they can see out further in the bubble around us,
Right.
So they can see what's going to happen really clearly and really easily, because that's just the way they're built. And then there's, people like me with my glasses, where, you have to get slapped in the face to know you're being slapped in the face. So
that
yeah,
would be most
you don't
of us.
see the hand coming ahead of time. Yeah, it's almost like, if you think about a boat on the water, it leaves a wake behind it.
Yeah.
So if you're up above looking down, you can see where that boat is probably going.
Right.
There's an island ahead. So if they don't notice the island, then they're going to run into it. But if they do notice the island, then they have time right now to go around it. But the closer they get, the harder it's going to be for them to avoid that collision.
Right. Totally.
And then
Yeah, that's a
there's
great
the
analogy.
eagle-eye people up above who can watch this whole process play out. And that's why free will, you can try and decide at the last minute that that's not the road you want to take, but it's too late. You're slamming into it,
Yeah.
So sometimes those lessons come and slam you, even if you've already learned the lesson. You just took 1 second too long.
Yeah, that's what Jose was talking about. Stuff coming along and giving us a nudge to get us back on track. But sometimes we need more than a nudge to get us back on track,
Yeah. Well, I needed more than a nudge for sure.
Yeah.
I needed somebody to pry me up, throw me down the road. Yeah.
But never a dull moment. I think, is life getting more exciting for you now, at least? Are you coming to terms with being here against your will and all that?
Yeah, I'm to terms with that. I'm just, I really want somebody to say, okay, this is what you're going to do now. because my whole life, I never really made decisions. I just kind of drifted around my life. And then the decisions that I did make usually turned out to be really bad. Yeah. So now I'm like, okay, I'm here and I'm staying here, and I think I have like 5 years left. So what am I going to do for 5 years? Give me something to do. What's my point? What's the purpose of me being here? You talked me into it. I'm here. I'm staying. I'm content with it. So
You
what
want
am
to
I
make
going
the
to do?
best of it. What do you need me to do?
Yeah. So I want my job, and so I'm kind of waiting for that. So now I'm being pushed that I have to start experimenting. And this was a synchronicity last week. I think it was either the show, the Friday night or Saturday night show, or maybe it was you were talking to Michelle. I think it was. You were talking to Michelle on Tuesday, and something you said, or she said, I can't remember, but it was a very synchronous moment, and it was like, okay, that's just what I've been getting, that I need to try pursuing more things, and nobody's going to say, oh, hey, you need to go, write a book or write a song or do a painting or, anything. Nobody's going to tell me what to do. I need to start doing things in order to get the car moving. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yeah, and who was, gosh, I think it was April's. I think it was April, either April or Nancy's, but they were told to get a space ready. I think it was April, to get a space ready to write their book in, and then that would spawn the excitement for the project. I thought that was a great, step in that direction, because if you do prepare this place to write a book, you are probably going to go and start writing on it, right? You're going to be excited. You got this new area that's for your new project, that's, I don't know. It would be exciting for me, I think. Kind of things to trick yourself into it.
I just don't know what direction to go.
Right.
I don't know. It's like, when you were in high school and everybody's like, oh, well, what do you want to do when you get out of high school? I don't know. The whole world is open right there, right on the other side of that door. So what are you going to do when you go through the door? You have no idea. Well, some people do, but I never did. And I still don't. So, yeah, I'm struggling with that. It's like, what do I want to put my energy into? How can I help? I know my limitations, and I don't acknowledge my strengths enough. I tend to focus on my limits instead of pushing past them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of us do that.
Yeah. I feel an uncomfortable time coming. You can sense it. It's right around the corner, right outside that door.
So, do you have anything that really makes you excited though? Gets you, really, I don't know, where's your heart at with anything? Is there anything you really enjoy doing?
Yeah, I really, really enjoy doing plant starts. When I moved here, I wanted to do a nursery. And I did take this year on purpose to just get to know the environment and, my own place here. Just, where's the sun at this time of year? How much rain are we going to get? Where would be the best place for a greenhouse? So, I gave myself that. But I don't know if I'm going to do that because I kind of thought, I could get my husband interested because I'm not good going to I would want to sell at the farmer's market. They have great farmer's markets here. So I would want to set up a stand and sell, but I'm not good with people. I either cannot think of anything to say or I cannot shut up. And, so I blabber like an idiot or I just sit there like a lump. So I really was hoping that my son and his girlfriend would want to be the salespeople, or my husband, because he's great with people. He's very, very social. And But none of, they all have their own pursuits. They're all doing their own thing. My husband doesn't want to have anything to do with my business. So it's like, well, then this is going to be all on me. And can I do it? Can I handle that? And, I really don't think I can. I could do all the plants I wanted. Huh?
What if you hooked up with a vendor that's already there and then just sold to him for bulk, and then he could make a little bit, and then you wouldn't have to have anybody up there? Is that possible?
They have rules about when you set up at a farmer's market about selling your own stuff versus selling stuff that you've bought that's been produced on someone else's property.
Oh, okay.
So it depends on the marketplace, and I have to look at their rules. Because in Florida, that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
That, if you had a table, it was supposed to be your own produce. Although there were people who were selling stuff. I know that it came off of a truck somewhere.
Right.
But nobody challenged them on it, so they kept getting away with it. And that's fine. People got to make a living. I don't have a problem with it. I thought it was kind of a crappy rule. Did you know in Florida, this was so interesting to me. When I was doing all the research on the farmers markets, I was looking at the flea market as well. And all the flea markets are being bought up by there's one or two companies. And one of them is a big company out of Ohio, I think it was. And they're buying up all of the local flea markets. So when the vendors get a table, they have to pay for the rental space. And so all of that money now, instead of staying locally, it's all going out of state to this big company. And they have a rule that they will not allow anybody to sell anything that has to do with witchcraft. And I was just absolutely stunned by that. Like, because all the flea markets that I ever went to, there were always like the little occult shops that, where they sold all kinds of stuff, and they also sold witchcraft stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow, that's really un-American to me to set up a rule, because that is other people's religion, and they have just as much right to their religion and their religious paraphernalia as Christians or any other religion.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was very targeted and kind of wrong.
Yeah, it's kind of worded in a way where they could, you could just sort of say anything's that, if, I don't know. In my house, I grew up, everything was witchcraft, you know what I mean? It's like, but Mom, it's Candyland,
Well, that's my aunt and uncle were in a more fundamentalist church than my mom was in. She was in the Baptist church, and they were in like a little evangelical. I don't know what they were, but we were going to have one of those. Remember the mystery parties everybody was doing? Like, you go and you play a character, and everybody is their own character, and you solve a mystery. Everybody plays a character in the mystery.
Right.
That was a really big party thing back in I think this was in the 90s, 80s or 90s. And so we were going to do one. We had a kit, and it told you who all the characters were, and everybody got their cards for their character. And my aunt and uncle were going to come over and do it. And then at the last minute, they were like, no, this is role-playing, and we're not allowed to do that. It's against our religion. Like, what? Where in the Bible does it say you can't have fun? I'm sorry. I don't remember that one.
That's funny. Well, if you think about it, though, think of all the statues and all the different churches, and I think it's the second commandment, no graven images. And so, there's a little bit of picking and choosing with what they follow.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably like that with any religion.
Although, yeah. Yeah, it is. Well, that's why it makes it so hard to, it's so odd to me, because like their church that they went to was from a break with another church over some point of the Bible.
Right.
It's like, how godly is that? You're breaking away from people because you're arguing over a point of the Bible, which is so vague that nobody is going to figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like that's when you have to look and say, is my religion causing division instead of unity and love and sharing and caring? So that's like the whole love the sinner thing. You know, hate the sin and love the sin. Well, no, people can't do that. You know, they don't do that very well. You allow in hate, and it just spreads.
Right.
You know,
that's when those justification things that we talked about.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just hating the sin. Yeah.
Yeah, but you're hating. You're hating
Right.
something. You got to quit hating. Yeah. That's why I like your unbiased and on the fence. That position, I think, it allows, and that's it. It allows. You know, you're not prejudging. You're not determining. You're not after judging. You're allowing things to be, and you're observing them. So you're actually like a very good watcher too. But
oh, thank you. That's awesome. Yeah, I could totally see being a watcher. That's cool.
Yeah.
Let's see.
You have to just let go of judgment, and that's so hard. It really is. I know.
It is, but it is like a hump that you get over when you realize you're like, oh, I don't have to convince anybody that, you know, and one of the things is how much my own views change, you know, over the years. I'm like, well, I see things so much differently every year that why do I expect everybody to try to believe like I believe, you know?
You should keep up with me. That's why. Yes. Everybody is supposed to believe what I believe because I'm right now. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's the ego.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
it's easy to
it
let
really
it go.
is.
It's easy when you let it go that, like, oh, I don't have to prove anything, you know?
Yeah. And dealing with ego, I don't know if anybody is dealing with their ego right now, but I found that I went into like a really deep meditative state and just reached back and found the source of my ego. And it was a child. And my ego was a child and kept a very childish worldview. And so I just, you know, and she did it as this is how to be safe. This is how to deal with life. This is how to get through. And that worked. You know, it worked for a long time. It helped me deal with being empathic when I didn't even know what I was. I just thought I was some kind of freak. So, you know, I found that I just had to say thank you for doing that, and you helped me through my life. But now I'm growing, and I need to start doing different experiences, and I need you to free me up to do those. So thank you for the job you did, but I don't need it anymore, and I love you. And that really, really set me free to go deeper and really explore myself and understand myself and deal with being in the world. So, yeah, in a different way than my old habits of, you know, well, not all my old habits. I still avoid. Yeah, I'm a big avoider.
But I think what you're saying is huge because you got to recognize that you're not that little girl anymore, too. You know, I mean, you got to make that distinction in your mind and make that separation so you can begin to cut the ties with the ego, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a very good way to put it. So, yeah, and that goes a lot with the psychological view that a lot of your habits of how you deal with life are actually formed in your childhood. And how capable are you as a child to decide how you're going to handle things? Right. You know, you're really not. So you're an adult now, and it's time to, you know, start facing things in a more adult way and more reasoned and more loving. You know, I don't know if you can be more loving than a kid. Kids are all heart. Yeah. And they're awesome.
Yeah, although the world would be a better place if we. Yeah, they can once they get in school, I guess. Start to get mean, don't they?
I don't know. My sister, she did some crazy stuff. She put me on a record player to see if it would spin me around. That's how old I am. There were record players. Yeah. No, it didn't spin. Even as a child, I was too heavy. You know, I didn't weigh as much as a record. I weighed more. So,
You guys watch too many cartoons, huh?
I guess so. Well, that's all there was. You know, we had our
Right.
Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, I don't know. I guess my brother threw a Beach Boys record out the window and it hit a tree, and I was so upset about it. So I've enjoyed my records too. I'm not that young. It's funny.
Yeah, it's funny. The technology advances. And now they're coming back. That's so funny to me.
Yeah, I actually heard. That's funny. I was just about to say that. I heard that they're actually selling more vinyl again, records, than they are CDs, because everybody's going to just digital. But records, I guess, will always have their place. That's strange.
Well, if you think about it, it picks up the true vibration, and all the digital, it's
manufactured.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
So
it's a
if you want
digital
the
opposed to an
true
analog
experience.
signal. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like the old radio dials. You know, I remember sitting in the car and tuning, and you went really slow because you might catch some, a little unknown station that you could get that night,
Right.
So you'd tune, and you could get between the numbers. It was like almost infinite in between the numbers what you could get. And now with the digital, you get that number, and you don't get side stations. That's it. You get
And
that
if you
number,
do,
that's
there's
it.
nothing you can do about it. If it's bleeding over, you're like, oh, if I could just turn it a little bit,
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, so there was a benefit to the old analog style of stuff. It was good.
I
Crystal
kind
radios,
of,
yeah.
I laugh because they go from the tubes to the solid state stuff and then to the smart stuff. But you notice how we used to have to wait for our TVs to warm up, and then we didn't, and then we do again, because now they're like computers that have to boot up and they take time, and it's like, I don't know, and cell phones are like that. There's a delay where with a landline, you hear the person instantly or close enough that the delay is negligible. But on the phone, or even now, I can hear myself echoing back like maybe 2 seconds later, just slightly.
Wow.
But we can go around the world, so who's complaining, right?
Yeah, it's all interesting. It really is. Well, that's like when my son was, I guess he was about 10 years old, 8 years old. We lived far away from everybody, so any of his friends that were going to visit, either their parents had to bring them or I had to go pick them up. And so we were in the garage, and there was an old-style phone that was hardwired into the wall in the garage, and it had a dial on it. And so we had to leave, like something came up and it was urgent, and it was a couple of hours before his mother was supposed to pick him up. So I was like, well, go ahead and call your mom and let her know that we're bringing you, so she's not, we can make sure that she's home. And I said, there's a phone right over there. And he went and he stood at the phone, and he picked up the handle and he put it down, and he stood there. And I was like, well, call your mom. And so I turn around and I'm doing something, and I see him. He's not calling his mom again. I'm like, just call your mom. She needs. And he's like, no, it's okay. Just take me home. It's okay. I'm like, no, please call your mom. And so finally, he picks up the phone, and he's standing there looking at it, and it dawned on me, he doesn't know how to dial the phone, because it had the old round thing where you put your finger in and you pull the dial with the number. He had no idea how to do it.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember those old
Yeah.
phones.
Yeah, he did not know how to dial the phone, and that's why it's called dial, for all you young folks, because it actually did dial.
I thought you were going to say that because of the smartphones, he didn't know the number, because now that we see a name, we're not forced to memorize numbers like we used to.
Oh, yeah. I never could remember phone numbers, so this is like huge for me. It's like I can call anybody. All I got to do is remember their name.
Right.
Yeah. So it is like my memory box. I love that. I mean, we lived we lived in a house for 4 years, and people would ask me, okay, what's your phone number? And I'd be like, I don't know. So, yeah. There were, I think, one home that we lived in, I still remember that phone number. But any other phone number that I had, no. They're all gone. I don't remember numbers. It's like they have no place in my head. I do that with math, too. That I can't add, like, if you have, 27 and 96, I can't add them together in my head. I have to write it on paper because I can't hold the numbers anyplace. There's nowhere for them to go.
See, that's strange to me. Some people are really good with numbers, and when other people are really good with letters, that's just that's strange to me that, you can be good at one but not the other, or neither, or both. Or
yeah. Well, it is, because I have a really good memory. Like, if I'm looking at a magazine and I see an ad, and then an hour later I'm like, oh, that was interesting, I can go right to where that ad was because I can see it in my mind. It was on the left page, up at the top, in the corner, this far back in the magazine. I can remember it very clearly and picture it. But if I want to remember a phone number, I have to write it down. So yeah, that's weird. Even if I see it on paper, I won't remember it. Yeah.
That's wild. So yeah, I was never really good with math in my head too, if it was anything where I'm having to carry stuff, But like in your example, I would just try to add them together without trying to carry. Like, just add the 20 and then add the 7 or something along those lines.
I wouldn't even be able to do that. By the time I get the first number done, I would be like, what was the second number?
Right.
Wait a minute. And if I remembered it, then I would forget what I had already added together.
Right,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. Yeah, they just disappear. It's like they're not real. They're just, they don't lodge anywhere. So.
That's awesome. It's awesome to be so good at one thing and then see how your brain works at another. And so that's why I tell everybody, I'm like, everybody's got their strong spot, and it's usually something that, you're weak at,
Yeah.
But that's why we work stronger as a group,
Yes, like your book collaboration, which I am enjoying very, very much. I have only gotten to, I think I'm on page 26, because
nice.
every time Eileen says something, I have to think about it. Oh, it just sets me off on a tangent, and I realize that I've just been sitting and thinking instead of reading for the past 15 minutes.
But that's good. It is thought-provoking. It's very thought-provoking. You have to really consider stuff, and it does lead you to, I don't know, I think it's going to be mind-blowing to someone who gets the book, they don't know what the Mandela effect is, and then it starts unfolding right there in front of them,
Oh, I hope so. I really hope that it helps people, because, there's still an element of fear with it, that, it's really hard. That's like, my biggest scary thing on the earth is actually earthquakes, because it's like, I need the earth, it's the solid thing. It's always there and it's solid. It doesn't move. And then when it moves, I went through one earthquake in Florida, which, that's really rare, but we were laying on the floor. It was really late. My cousins were visiting, and we were all laying on the floor watching TV at like 11:30 at night. And all of a sudden everything started shaking, and we're all looking at each other, and it's like, oh, there must be a launch, because back then it was the Apollos and they shook everything. Right. So we all go running outside, and we look, and all the neighbors are outside too. It's 11:30 at night, and everybody's standing outside looking at the sky, and it's like, there's no launch. What is going on? So it was just an earthquake that was big enough to feel, and it was actually an earthquake in Japan that was so strong that we felt it. How crazy is that?
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, that was the only earthquake that I ever went through. And when I realized it, I was like terrified of earthquakes. Like, the earth isn't supposed to move. It's my solid thing. It can't move. So, yeah, I still have fears. I'm still dealing with.
That
so
is
now
a
I'm
freaky
gonna have
feeling.
to have an earthquake.
People that live in California
Yeah,
are used to it, but we had the one here a few years ago, and man, it was just rumbling. It's just unsettling to feel the earth move like that. I don't know that I could ever get used to it like others do.
Yeah, so it really disrupts your whole sense of reality when something like that happens, you know, and it makes you think, you know, what is our reality really?
Yeah.
So,
when the ground that you can depend on, you can't depend on anymore.
That's right. Yeah. Exactly. So
somebody, Caleb says, "Remember phone booths?" Yeah, that's funny.
Remember what?
Phone booths.
I'm sorry, I didn't. Oh, phone booths. Yeah.
The drive-up phones. I used to use the drive-up phones a lot.
Oh, I never saw a drive-up phone.
Drive-up payphone.
Oh, they were like on the. Yeah, they were the first open boxes. Instead of standing inside the box with the door closed, they were the open-faced ones. Yeah?
I didn't know that was the first. I knew that they were open-faced, but I didn't know if it was the first or not. Could be, though. That makes sense.
I'm not sure. I just remember seeing them.
I don't really remember seeing phone booths too much myself. I remember the movie about it. I remember seeing a few, like in movies like The Terminator and stuff, but I don't remember seeing phone booths too much. I guess you need them in a busy city, though, like New York, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it's very noisy.
Yeah.
But we had them in, you know, I was down in Florida, and when we moved there, it was a really small town. I mean, there was like, you know, the library was in somebody's old house.
Mm-hmm.
It was a tiny town. And so we didn't get all the modern conveniences as fast as everybody else did. And then when I left there, I went to an even smaller town in South Texas. So, you know, I was really, really behind.
Yeah, I know. It seemed like Tulsa was about 20 years behind with everything. Like, internet connection was way slower, and it's like, oh my gosh, it's just so far behind on everything. But they're finally catching up. It's actually turning out pretty good here.
Well, that's one thing. I was really surprised when I was looking for a property that I found a house that was outside of town, up on a mountain, and still had internet connection, because that was a big thing. You know, my husband he's an American citizen, but he was, you know, he got his citizenship. He's from another country. So he watches a lot of his own television programs on YouTube. And so, you know, taking that away from him would have just been cruel. So when I was looking, it's like, okay, I have to have a good internet connection. I'm not doing satellite. No way. It's too expensive, and it's too crappy. And it's, you know, too limited. They really limit your usage. So it's like, I can't do satellite internet. I need an actual cable hookup. So I was really surprised and really, I mean, I just am so happy. I can't even describe how I wake up every day and it's like I'm in a dream. This is exactly what I dreamed of all my life. So,
that's
and
awesome.
that was, yeah, and it was, you know, I was looking, and I started in Washington State because I love the way it looks, but I was following the grow zone of 7A and 7B, and I went all the way across the country, and there was always something wrong, and that's when I got the synchronicity where I said, okay, I need help. You've got to give me a name. You know, I'm looking at a place, and I'm thinking about it, and I like it, but I need confirmation that this is the place. So I was watching a TV show. I think it was called The Colony or Colony.
Mm-hmm.
It was about an alien invasion, and so there's a scene where a guy is about to give up his group, to the alien humans, the alien cooperating humans.
Mm-hmm.
So he's standing and he's got a code word, and all he has to do is dial in the radio station, and he stands there with the microphone, and he's like, okay, what, you can see him thinking if he's going to do this or not. And he finally clicks the microphone, and he looks at his little paper, and he says, Roanoke. And I just about hit the floor. I was like, oh my God, because I asked this during a commercial. I was like, I need confirmation of where I'm going to go. And this was the town I was looking at, was Roanoke. And then the guy says the code word, Roanoke. I was like, you've got to be kidding me. He says one word, and it is the town that I'm looking at. So that was like, okay, this is my place.
I love that. I love those synchronicities. And everyone else says, oh, you're just crazy and you're just finding connections. I'm like, all right, but if it happens all the time, you're crazy not to see it,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was my biggest one. I mean, that was like so in your face that you ask a question and 2 seconds later you get an answer on a TV show that was made, months and months ahead of when you watched it, and he picks one word out of all of the words. Look at the dictionary and pick one word. That's you couldn't do that on purpose,
Yeah.
That was just totally meant to be the answer.
Yeah, I'm always blown away by those synchronicities, because you can tell they came from your higher self, because they extend beyond time. Because how on earth would that be possible? You know what I mean? If, like you were just saying, it had to be set up so far in advance, and things had to line up on that day and all of that stuff,
Yeah. But again, this is talking about this is a lesson to me, because I was actively looking at places to move to, and that message would have been meaningless if I hadn't been looking and hadn't asked the question when I asked it.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's time to start doing things so I can start getting answers. Aha! See? Look at that.
But you were talking in the beginning of the call about wanting to know which direction to head, but it sounds like you're already where you need to be, right?
Well, I'm where I need to be. I'm just not doing what I need to be doing. So, because I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. That's the thing.
Well, if the gardening thing doesn't excite you anymore, you could move on to something that does.
Yeah. Yeah. I will always garden, even if it's just for myself. But, doing the nursery, I may not do it. But I do have to start doing something. It's like I need to. And I think, I could probably handle like doing the BQH because it's one person.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know if that's what I want to do because of the dog. We have the older dog, and he just barks incessantly. So, when he's out, he likes to sit up by the road, and any car that goes by, he likes to bark at it. And if an animal goes by, he likes to bark at it. And if a bird flies over, he likes to bark at it. So it would be really hard to have a peaceful session with the dog that won't stop barking. So yeah, I've been thinking of ways that I could get around that, because that's something that has been common. When I was in the Navy, after I got out of high school, I started taking a college class, and the one that I took was psychology. And then I wound up, I had car trouble and I couldn't go to class anymore. So, and then I got, life changed and I wasn't going to college for a while. And when I was going to go again, I was looking at what I wanted to do, and I was interested in psychology. And then when I finally went back the third time and started seriously, this is it, I'm getting my degree this time, I went and I got my psychology degree. So I've always been really interested in psychology, but I wouldn't want to be a psychologist because of the organization and the rules. Like, to be a psychologist now, you have to go get the flu shot. It's like, why do I have to? You know, I'm sitting across the room from somebody. I'm not a medical person treating them, because I don't get flu shots. I got it once and it made me sick as a dog, and that was like, that's it. I'm not getting that shot anymore. I don't care what they say about it. Oh, I've had all my other vaccines. I'm not an anti-vaxxer. This was my own personal experience that I got a shot and I got sick from it. And that happened a couple of times. I think when we went overseas, I had to get shots and I got really, really sick from one. But yeah, so I am very careful about what I do. So that kind of puts me off, that they're now mandating that if you're going to be a clinical, you know, a working psychologist, that you have to get a vaccination for the flu. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
Oh man, that's tough, because you know, it's like the last few winters I'd ask people that had the flu when they have the flu if they had the flu shot, and they all had it. So it's like, what do? You know?
Yeah. It doesn't. They can't keep up. I think, you know, because they base it on the flu
The
that
previous
was,
year's strain, right? And then
yeah, and now it's the different flu, so it's not going to work against that one. And you know, if the shot itself makes you sick, then why on earth would you take it?
Yeah.
So I just, I'm not a big fan of the flu shot.
do you think they'll ever get away with
Although
trying to do mandatory shots for everybody, though?
Yeah, I think that they could if people don't argue about it. But, you know, the whole argument to me is so backwards, because you have all these people who get their kids vaccinated, and you have people who don't get their kids vaccinated. And they're saying, oh, well, we can't mix them together because they're causing an epidemic of measles or something. Well, if your kid's vaccinated, your kid's not going to get the measles, so why are you worried about it?
Right.
This is their choice. Let them make their choice. If their kid gets sick, it's on them. You know, they're the ones that have to deal with it, with having a sick child. So, you know, and I don't understand that whole argument. It's completely backwards the way they present it. That, you know, you're creating the problem. No, you're not creating the problem by not getting vaccinated. The problem is already there. You're just vaccinated, so you don't know it. So
it's like they come up with a reason that doesn't make a lot of sense, but it's got a lot of fear in it. So let's roll with this one.
Yeah, you're right. It is. It is more fear-mongering. That's really interesting. Yeah. They use that a lot.
Yeah, because it gets you in that lower part of your brain where you know, the whole fight or flight. So you don't ask many questions. You just go get your vaccination, you know.
Yeah. Go. Yes. Well, that, you know, I was really freaked out because I was born in the early 60s. And I found out that the polio vaccine that they gave in the early 60s and before, prior to that, it had a known cancer-causing element in it because of the way they created the vaccine. They used, like, monkey kidneys or something.
Right.
And the monkeys had a cancer that was transmittable to humans, and it did transmit to humans. So my sister died of breast cancer. She was born 2 years before me. So she definitely had that vaccine. That there was like I can't remember if it was a 50-50 chance of the vaccines that they had out at that time, that 50% of them, I think it was more than that. I think it was like 80% of them had that virus in it. And so by the time I was born, it was a lower chance that I had gotten it. And so she died of breast cancer, and that seems to be very common in that age group, a very high rate of breast cancer. And the really bad thing is that is transmittable to children of those people who got that shot. Yeah. So I was like, wow. And they knew it. They knew it. They knew they were giving it to people. and they did it anyway. But it was also a testament to how bad polio was. I think people don't remember. One of the chiefs that I had in the Navy, he had had polio as a child, and he still had pain and had to use a cane, when it would flare up. It didn't flare up all the time, but he would get, he would have like really bad weeks where he was in real pain still and had trouble walking and had trouble with his muscles and stuff. So it was really a severe disease, and so I can understand that they were desperate to treat it and try and eradicate it. But when they knew that they were giving people something bad, they should have done something about that. They shouldn't have continued.
Do you think it's that they just thought it was worse not to do something then?
Yeah, I do. Because, it was a risk factor. So, not everybody would get the cancer, but it increased the likelihood. But polio was, very active and very real and very, very dangerous and debilitating. If you didn't die from it, you were certainly affected, for the rest of your life.
And it was contagious, right?
Yeah, highly.
Highly opposed contagious. To cancer, which well, I guess it was contagious to the infant. You said it could be passed down through the breast milk, but I don't know. I guess I can...
It changes. It made enough of a change that if you get pregnant, it can genetically pass on to the child. Yeah, it's that bad.
Yikes.
So, yeah.
Well, so thank goodness that stuff's getting cleaned up now, finally. Being brought to the light and transformed.
It really is.
So, I mean, I think the first thing is awareness, and the awareness, the people being aware of what they're doing now is the first step to fixing it, because once people know what's up, then nobody's going to want it, right?
No, I think it's more than that. To me, it's like you can't keep hiding stuff. That truth is just bubbling up, like a soda. The cap is off, and the soda's going to bubble. Everything's going to bubble. All that truth, all those little truth bubbles are coming up, and it's up to us to catch them. Oh look, there's that. There's the polio bubble, and there's the vaccine bubble, and so yeah, the things that they try to keep hidden, the harder they try, the more it's gonna just keep bubbling out through their fingers. Yeah.
The more they're shaking up the bottle, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, you sound sleepy. I bet it's your bedtime. I did not mean to.
No, I always enjoy talking to you, Ronnie. It's been a long time too.
Yeah, it does. Well, I just love all of you guys, and you really are. You're my moment of sanity in the week. You're my touchstones. I just adore you people, all of you.
Oh, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Lots of love to you guys in the chat, and thank you, Ronnie, for talking to me again. Let's see. Did I lose you, Ronnie? Oh, okay. I thought I heard a click. I thought you hung up.
No, it's probably just me clicking my tongue. Yeah. All right, but now I am going to hang up. So, love you guys. Thank you, Shane.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everybody.
Ronnie. Lots of love to you. Okay, bye-bye. All righty, guys. That was Ronnie. Always good to hear from her. Ronnie in Florida now. Ronnie in VA, Virginia. Let's see. I will be back let's see. Sorry, get to the mic here. We'll be back tomorrow night with Eileen and the Power of 8 at 8. Lots of love and light to you guys. Have a good night. If you'd like to support the work I do, go to paypal.me/UOTF. Thanks.